Alrighty then, we should be live here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And today we're going to talk space weather, earth weather, and finance type stuff. No regular everyday news stories, unless you leave a comment about them. Then we might talk about them. So yeah, how was your weekend? Another incredible week ahead, and I'm actually super excited because we've massively revamped SNN. So the Smash News Network headquarters is now very differently laid out, and it's very good. Very, very good. So I'm just looking for my tripod here because I don't remember where I left it. And I'm not even mad because again, major revisions. So we've got the music studio about 95% complete for Simulcome. Simulcome. That is the new band consisting of Forrest McKinnon, Jason Williams, and yours truly. So far we're a three-piece. Trying to make us a four-piece because I want a second guitarist, because I don't think I can carry the band, because I'm pretty garbage. So if I was less of a garbage guitarist, I'd be fine with it, but feeling a little like Mr. Rogers right now. All right, so hopefully it's a beautiful day in your neighborhood. It's a beautiful day here in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. We'll talk about what's causing the weather in the Northeast right now, and to give you a hint, it is a strong 800-mile low-pressure zone in eastern Canada. Yeah, so for all of you eastern viewers, even in the southeast, we have a huge meridional jet stream flow. The jet stream is blowing due south and due north over parts of the U.S. and parts of the western Atlantic. And as a result, this time the rain was not pushed out by a cold front. So there is dry mass of air coming through, but the jet stream is going to keep it warm for the Northeast. So yeah, I mean, we've got a really delayed onset to like proper autumn temperatures here, and we love it. I mean, I looked at the Blue Mountain once again. Yes, 2 days ago, the Blue Mountain, and it's completely green on the south side. And it still is, because it's been nothing but warm since then. So it's just fantastic. And yeah, we couldn't ask for better weather. So a lot of events happen in Lehigh Valley here, sort of at the end of September and through October, and because it's so nice here, and it's the Lehigh Valley is a very nice place. So if you're going to visit, especially if you're going to visit and stay and ride, right? That's the amount of trails in the Lehigh Valley is absolutely astounding, and there's like an endless number of trails here. So, all right, so we're going to talk finance and maybe economics. I don't know. It depends on what you define as finance and economics. Pardon my ghoulish experience, my ghoulish appearance. Keep in mind it is like not even 7 a.m. yet. And I often do these streams after doing a bike ride, but today, no, because I've discovered, well, I'm going to share with you the power of the leisurely stroll. So, I mean, I'm sure you can ask all the world's top cyclists if they do leisurely strolls. You know, ask Tadej or Mathieu van der Poel or Remco Evenepoel or something like that. Ask one of those dudes if they do leisurely strolls. There's nothing like the recovery of a leisurely stroll. It's a delight. And of course, today, I took a walk in the Bumblebee Cemetery. So, more on that later. There's some new products coming out in the Redbubble shop. Check the description. And thanks for your feedback, Priscilla Rosales. Talking too fast? Well, sorry. Got to fit a lot of information into a short period. All right, so um, looks like the Dow is set to open up 91 points. Let's show a chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average here. We're going to show the Dow and the NASDAQ, one-year charts. So here's the Dow. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, okay? It's steadily uptrend here since late April. Currently at 46,471. Set to open 90 points up in pre-market trading. Now, this is the one that I would concern myself with if I were invested in these stocks, because these are the most inflated stocks probably in the history of the market, the NASDAQ. So all these AI companies and various tech organizations who claim they're pioneers in AI, the bubble's about to burst, folks. I mean, this is not sustainable. The price to earnings ratios of these NASDAQ companies, they're pathetic. I mean, show me a NASDAQ company that can make an app that's bug free. Show me one. Would it be Google, Meta, X, Tesla? Like who? Amazon? I think Amazon actually has the best app. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, thanks for leaving comments, those of you who have, and welcome, Dirk. Good to see you, sir. And so let's look at markets here. We're going to look at some other stats. I'm going to call out gold and silver, since they've been running up to all-time highs, at least for gold. And what do we have here? Gold, the goldenest gold, that gold, currently at $4,272 per ounce. So the dollar's valuation with respect to gold, let's just say it's dropped a bit. But then again, so have other world currencies. If you base your currency values on commodity prices. Silver is at $50, $50.50. It's a fake drop, Dan. We're going through the financial reset. What financial reset? What fake drop? What are you talking about? There is no fake drop. The companies are overinflated. They're up here. What drop? Do you know anything about investing, dude? Yes, silver at an all-time high here, $50.52 per ounce. And that's where we'll end. I mean, there is a story about how there was an Amazon Web Services outage, but that's not the Amazon app that's consumer facing. So, that's the Amazon app. I'm quite a proponent of it because it's very good. It's intuitive, and it's not shite. I'm going to go into French fry mode here. Ah, yes, I've become a French fry. There we go. That's better. Get some red light blasting on my face. Maybe I'll have to convert the stand-up desk too. But for now, we're sticking with the seating position. Trump calls for Ukraine to be carved up after tense meeting with Zelensky. Let's ignore these news stories and talk Earth weather. So like I said earlier, for you northeastern viewers, we've got a low-pressure system in control of things in the eastern U.S. That low pressure is over eastern Canada, and it's about 800 miles long. So let's just briefly show the water vapor map here for the U.S. Oh man, that's small. All right, so see this swirling low here making its way to the north, actually. So it's moving north. It was over Detroit yesterday afternoon. Now it's over. I mean, it starts kind of around Lake Ontario. So look right in here, right in there. But it's an elongate low. So just to show you what I'm talking about here, here's the pressure map. And you can see how this low extends all the way up to Umayujak. All the way up to Umayujak. And this is like, it's, let's see, let's check the pressure here. 992 millibar. That's a very strong low. That's like some tropical systems. Hurricanes are sometimes in the 990s for That's 992 hectopascals right there. That is a powerful low, and that's why air is being sucked toward it. So keep in mind, folks, low pressure systems suck, high pressure systems blow. When you see this counterclockwise rotation on your radar maps, at least in the northern hemisphere, that is a low pressure zone. Now, these rotate clockwise in the southern hemisphere, but let's don't go there. So here's the meridional jet stream flow I was talking about. You see these big northern, and you due north right here, right at Lake Ontario, which is pulling warm air from the south up. So that's why it's going to stay warm. And of course, you've got this southern flow here coming off of Newfoundland there. So, and then another almost due north flow over the northwestern Atlantic. So that's the jet stream flow. This is the 250 hectopascal winds. And the wind speeds up here are 121 miles an hour. So this will affect flights. This is going to affect flight paths because planes try to take the path of least resistance. So here's your 72-hour forecast. I pulled this up a couple hours ago. This is going to be pretty accurate. Yeah, this is a GFS 72-hour GFS forecast there that's showing pressure and precipitation. Yes, I see you're talking about stable coins. Yet crypto is not going to power any kind of a debt reset anything because cryptocurrency is nothing but a speculative asset that has no actual value. So, I mean, nice try, but stable coins are not going to, quote, power the debt reset. The only thing that can power the debt reset is the reorganization of the banks and the other lenders, institutional lenders mainly, that have caused the debt bubble in the first place. I mean, this isn't a subprime mortgage debt bubble like the one in 2008 under Obama, or the one that started in 2008 and crashed the market under Obama. So yeah, now let's talk space weather. We've got currently our sunspot number is just below the average here. So check it out. We've got about 121 sunspots right now. Pretty active sun. Here's our radio flux, which is at about 148 solar flux units. 148 solar flux units. Yeah, well, the banks are covered by insurance, and so there's another that will actually affect the markets. Insurance company stocks will crash because they have to pay the claims. So, I mean, crypto has nothing to do with anything, dude. Crypto is not a solution to anything. Crypto is nothing more than Dutch tulips. It is a speculative investment that is only worth what people are willing to pay for it. And since it has no intrinsic value, it isn't and will never be money. Current solar wind conditions are only about 0.5 proton per cubic centimeter. So we're seeing a dip here in the solar wind density. Now, we did see a coronal hole wind stream hit hard, but it didn't cause a lot of geomagnetic unrest. As you can see, we only got to a KP5 here when the density wave showed up. So the density of the solar wind made it all the way up to over 40 protons per cubic centimeter. You can see there 42.17 protons per cubic centimeter. And then you can see it drop down and the speed came up at the same time. So it's just a weak, relatively slow coronal hole high-speed stream, and it is now subsiding to even lower densities. So we may see the high-speed portion here continue, but it's really not that high speed at 552 kilometers per second. No spikes in the proton flux, no solar energetic particle events, although we do have a likelihood of them. We do have a likelihood of large flares still because we do have an active sunspot setting on the west, which we'll show you momentarily. At the moment, GOES X-ray flux background is around a low C-class background X-ray flux. We have no new CMEs on the way, so I'm not going to really concern myself with that, or you. And here are the past couple of hours of the closest star. From the GOES 19 SUVI, let's zoom out so you can see the whole thing. And I never found my tripod. I know it's around here somewhere, but it's all good. So yeah, there are the past couple of hours. That's about 2.5 hours of the closest star in the ever popular 304 angstroms ionized helium wavelength. So that's what about 120 sunspots look like, folks. And again, most likely place to see a large solar flare is this active region right over here that's setting. So that is where you want to watch. And, you can see there is a lot of plasma instability already going on there. So that is not only the most likely place for a large solar flare, it's also the most likely place to produce a coronal mass ejection and a solar energetic particle event. So don't be surprised to see an SEP, a solar energetic particle event, in the coming 12 hours. Well, I'll say 24 hours. Because keep in mind, folks, we can still see an SEP and a major flare from a sunspot that is not even visible coming from behind the limb. So here's our Boulder magnetometer, and as you can see, things have subsided here. So this is leveling out, coronal hole high-speed stream is ending, and we're on the way to a new solar wind regime. All right, so here's Alteide, Spain's magnetograms. These are pretty inconsequential. I'll briefly show it. So there's the magnetogram animation for the past, 73 images there. That's just yesterday and today. So that's pretty up-to-date data there. The Agong magnetograms from Alteide, Spain. Here is our intensitygram, and that's what about 120 sunspots are going to look like. They are not particularly magnetically complex. Again, the most likely place for a large flare is from this group here setting on the western limb. Continuing on to talk more sensible stuff about space weather, here is our heliospheric magnetic sector. Remember, folks, magnets are not magic. And these fields are extremely weak, all right? But Earth is currently in a South Pole magnetic sector. North Pole sector here coming. We do see some instability here, so don't be surprised to see the sunspots in the eastern portion of the closest star evolve and perhaps gain some complexity, because as you see right in this area, you can see this sector boundary waving around a bit. That is an indication that we may see some evolution, or perhaps a new coronal hole just coming into view, affecting the readings from stereo B, which is what this symbol is right here. That's stereo B, and over here is stereo A. I'll briefly show the line of sight coronal hole plot as well here, folks, just because coronal holes have been in charge of space weather. And there is our coronal hole line of sight plot. So you can see some North Pole oriented coronal holes here rising up over that eastern limb, shown in green. And we see some evolution of the Earth-facing South Pole coronal hole there. So that's what's causing those changes. Keep in mind, the coronal hole's magnetic field lines stretch all the way out into space, into and beyond Earth's magnetosphere. So coronal holes are a really important aspect of space weather, and of course of the solar cycle evolution. Eventually, we will see almost none of those on the equator, and they will be fixated at the poles. That's what we call solar minimum. So we're not going to worry about stereo A. There's our GOES electron flux. The electron storm is also subsiding here. So that's nice, because your GPSs are going to have better performance. And who doesn't want better GPS performance? I prefer to not get lost in the wilderness or on roads. Yeah. So that's what's going on with the closest star. The freaking SDO site is still down. So here is we're going to close out the video with, let's look at 284 angstroms, because it just looks cool. And I'm not going to let this stream run here. We're going to keep it at around 20 minutes. So thanks for tuning in, folks. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Don't forget to press like and subscribe if you're new to the channel, or you'll miss additional content. Also, visit the links in the description and support the channel if you are ready, willing, and able to do so. Here we'll show coronal holes. We should see some evolution. Actually, that's already happened. This is like only a couple of hours, so you're not going to see that. But this coronal hole right here is the one that it kind of closed up. So that's pretty cool. Some activity in the corona there. And we'll close out with 94 angstroms one of the optimal wavelengths through which to view solar flaring. Because again, remember folks, we have a major solar flare watch in effect. And it's for that western limb, just to say it a third time. Don't want to sound like a broken record here, but that is the most likely place to see a large flare, a coronal mass ejection, and indeed a solar energetic particle event. So that's where we're going to close things out. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Good to see you once again. Dirk, congratulations on realizing the channel exists. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off from the Smash News Network, the busted name of news. And until next time, probably tomorrow morning, may that solar wind be at your back.